Introducing the AirLive AirCloud platform, the easy way to manage your access points in the cloud. Go to the AirLive website and click on the AirCloud link to go to the AirCloud web page. The login page of the AirCloud is now displayed. You can now log into the AirCloud. First-time users need to select Register first to make a username and password. Enter your username and password and press Login. The AirCloud homepage is displayed. AirLive AirCloud access points can now be added. Go to Binding to add an access point. Enter the username, password, and MAC address of the access point you would like to add. The MAC address can be found on the label of the access point. The added access point will now be loaded into the AirCloud and will be displayed. This will go automatically. The MAC address, local IP address, name, model of the access point, mode of the access point and the access time will be shown. When the status is shown as green, it means the access point is online. Click on More or go to the device menu to set up the access point. In the device menu, the project list and device list is shown. By default, the access points are added to the default project called My Project. To add your own project, click on the project menu. The default project is now shown. Click on the Add button to make your own project. Enter the name for the project. Additional project notes can also be added. The newly made project will now be shown in the project list. Now go back to the device menu. The access point is still allocated to My Project and the newly made demo project is still empty. To move the access point to your own project, check mark the access point and select Device Allocation from the pull-down menu. Now select the project to which the access point should be allocated. An information screen will be displayed. Click OK to move the access point. The access point has now been moved to the demo project. In the device list, the MAC address and local IP address of the access point are shown. To add a name to the access point, click on Name and enter your name for the access point. After the name has been saved, it will be displayed in the device list. Type will show the different models of access points which could be added. To change the settings of the access point, click on the config icon. In the top part of the screen, the basic access point information will be shown. Click on the Info button to see the current settings of the access point. Select to view 2.4G Wi-Fi, 5G Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi connected users, network information, user list, and other info. To change the settings of the access point, click on the menu buttons. To change the Wi-Fi settings, click on Wi-Fi. Select to change the 2.4G Wi-Fi, 5G Wi-Fi, or the advanced settings. Turn the Wi-Fi on or off, change the SSID name, wireless mode, channel, encryption, password, transmit power, the maximum number of users, and set up the VLAN ID. Enable the virtual access point SSID 1, 2, or 3 and set the SSID name and encryption. Click on Wi-Fi time off, to set up the time in which the Wi-Fi would not be available to users. Select the start and end time. Alarm setting, set an automatic alarm when an access point goes offline, or the CPU and memory use go over a set threshold. Device log shows the log file from the access point in the cloud. Other setting, set up an automatic reboot schedule for the access point. This can be by time or per day interval. Auth. Use this function to set up authentication for users which can connect to the wireless or wired network. The auth function can be set up separately for the 2.4G, 5G, and Ethernet connection, each with their own settings. Enable the function for the connection of your choice. The SSID used in Auth is the main SSID. Portal page is always default. Strategy can be set up manually. Authentication method. Select to have no authentication or to only allow members access to the connection. Portal page and strategy can be set up in the authentication menu. Select Portal to set up the portal landing page. The portal page has 3 steps: before, process and after authentication. There are 2 separate display types, one for mobile devices and one for PCs. Both have their own layout images. Enter the title name, which will appear on top of the landing screen. Note that both mobile and PC have their own title name. The background color of the title name can be changed via the color bar. 3 different images can be displayed in the banner. Note that the images for mobile and PC use different sizes. Guide address. This is the web page which will be loaded after a successful connection and authentication of the user has been done. Process authentication will display one image. Note both mobile and PC use different image sizes. After authentication also has one image only. Note that both mobile and PC use different image sizes. Strategy. This is the main function for setting up the connection time for members connected to the network. Click the Add button to create your own strategy. Enter a name for the strategy and select the validity of the authentication. This can be 1 day or more. Select Permanent to always allow a member access. Devices can also be added to the white or black list based on IP or MAC address. These member devices would be included or excluded from the strategy. The strategy has now been made and can be used in the Auth setup function in the access point configuration. Authentication methods. Select to make a member list or select No Auth for no authentication. Click Add Member to make a single member. Make a member account name and login password. The new member has now been made. add multiple members in one go, click on Import and then on Download. To download the default Excel file, enter your members on the Excel file and click Select to import your members list. Go back to Device to finish setting up the auth function for the access point. In the auth function you can now select the strategy which was made before. Check mark member to allow only access to the network for members in the member list. To see which member has successfully connected to the network, click on Authentication Details. Details of the connected members will now be displayed. When multiple access points have been added to the cloud, and a change in the settings has to be made, then the batch setting can be used. The batch setting allows you to change the settings of multiple access points all at once. To make a batch template, go to the Maintenance menu and select Template. Click on the Add button to start making a template, and enter a name for your template. You can now customize your template settings. These can be the Wi-Fi settings, both 2.4 and 5G, as well as the advanced and other settings. Your template has now been made and can be used in the batch setting. Check mark the access points for which you want to change the settings using the batch function. Go to the pull-down menu and select Application Template. You can now select the template you would like to use. After applying the template, all the selected access points will have the new settings. The batch function can also be used to update the firmware of multiple access points in one go. Go to the Maintenance menu and select Upgrade. In the device list, the current firmware version of the access point will be shown. Check mark the access points for which the firmware should be updated, and click on the Upgrade button. Note: make sure only the same types of access points are updated. Use the Type pull-down menu to display only the same types of access points. The batch function can also be used for other features like reboot, export and unbind. Only when the access points are check-marked will the function work. The AirCloud also has a topology function. This function will display all the connected access points in the network. To view the topology, go to the Device menu main page. Click on the Topology View button on the top of the page to view the topology. Move over the access point to see its information, like the MAC address. To rearrange the layout, click on the access point and drag it. The extra menu options in the topology view are: Edit, Reset, Scan for new devices and full screen view. Click on Edit Topology to change the layout and add your own icons to the topology view. Click on List View to exit the topology mode.